We will tell the third verse, right? Yeah. We will start. Okay, bro, you can repeat after me. यदा हि नेन्द्रियार्थेषु न कर्मसु अनुसज्जते.
I can see this. It's coming up, bro. Little slowly.
Okay.
I'm seeing the per part.
Otherwise, I can turn off my video.
Video we can.
See the purport, not the shloka. I think I should turn off my. Maybe I'll turn off. Now you are able to see.
No, bro. I'm seeing this Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga branches other than CSE. Yes. Now I'm able to see. यदा
Okay.
हि नेन्द्रियार्थेषु न कर्मसु
Okay.
अनुसज्जते
सर्वसंकल्प संन्यासी योगारूढ़स्थ दोच्यते.
सर्वसङ्कल्पसन्न्यासी योगारूढस्तदुच्यते.
A person is said to be elevated in yoga when having renounced all material desires. Sarva sankalpa sannyasi. He neither acts for sense gratification nor engages in fruitive activities. It is the yeah. So one should renounce all material desires. That is the qualification for Ashtanga yoga Rudast. Yeah, I can read the purport.
When a
Bro, you can
person,
read the purport.
yes, sir. When a person is fully engaged in the transcendental loving service of the Lord, he is pleased in himself, and thus he is no longer engaged in sense gratification or in fruitive activities. Otherwise, one must be engaged in sense gratification, since one cannot live without engagement. Without Krishna consciousness, one must be always seeking self centered or extended selfish activities. But a Krishna conscious person can do everything for the satisfaction of Krishna and thereby be perfectly detached from sense gratification. One who has no such realization must mechanically try to escape material desires before being elevated to the top rung of the yoga ladder.
So, without Krishna consciousness or spiritual consciousness, uh, if being pleased in himself means one is pleased in the activities of the Atma, which is purification of heart and meditation on the absolute truth or Brahman, Paramatma, whatever. And Prabhupada is writing, without Krishna consciousness, one must be always seeking self-centered or extended selfish activities. So self-centered means, uh, yeah, means that is grossly selfish about one's own individual activities or extended selfish activities. No, my family or no, my business. So that way, it appears selfless, but it is also means one may be caring for family and all, but the purpose is again one wants to do collectively sense gratification with family. So that is extended selfish activities. Okay, so we'll proceed to the next shloka. Uddhared atmanatmanam natmanam avasadayet.
उद्धारेत आत्मनात्मानं नात्मानं अवसादयेत्
आत्मैव हि आत्मनो बन्धुर् आत्मैव रिपुरात्मना.
आत्मैव हि आत्मनो बन्धुरात्मैव रिपुरात्मनः.
The translation, one must deliver himself with the help of his mind and not degrade himself. The mind is the friend of the conditioned soul and his enemy as well. You can read the purport.
The word Atma denotes body, mind, and soul depending upon different circumstances. In the yoga system, the mind and the conditioned soul are especially important. Since the mind is the central point of yoga practice, Atma refers here to the mind. The purpose of the yoga system is to control the mind and draw it away from the attachment to the sense objects. It is stressed herein that the mind must be so trained that it can deliver the conditioned soul from the mire of nescience. In the material existence, one is subjected to the influence of the mind and the senses. In fact, the pure soul is entangled in the material world because the mind is involved with false ego, which desires to lord it over the material nature. Therefore, the mind should be trained so that it will not be attracted by the glitter of the material nature, and in this way the conditioned soul may be saved. One should not degrade oneself by attraction to the sense objects. The more one is attracted by the sense objects, the more one becomes entangled in the material existence. The best way to disentangle oneself is to always engage the mind in Krishna consciousness. The word he is used for emphasizing this point, that is, one must do this. It is also said, Mana eva manusyanam karanam bandha mokshayo bandhaya vishaya sango muktay nirvishayam manaha. For man, mind is the cause of bondage, and mind is the cause of liberation. Mind absorbed in sense objects is the cause of bondage, and mind detached from the sense objects is the cause of liberation. Amrit Bindu Upanishad 2. Therefore, the mind which is always engaged in Krishna consciousness is the cause of supreme liberation.
So we saw there are always some parallel shlokas to Bhagavad Gita shlokas in from Upanishads, which our acharyas quote often. So Prabhupada is saying the mind should be trained so that it will not be attracted by the glitter of material nature, which means it's not the default situation of the mind. The default situation of the mind is to be attracted to the sense objects. But we should consciously train the mind to be uh, so that it will not be attracted by the glitter of material nature. Yes. So the attraction to sense objects degrade. Yeah. So the more you're attracted by sense objects, the more you want to mm, enjoy them. So for that, you enjoy some sense objects, you want them more. So that way, so that way, one becomes more and more entangled. That way. Now my audio is clear, na?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay. Okay, let's see how this goes. If it gets interrupted frequently, we'll do something. Okay. Bandhuratmana satmana Bandhuratmana atmanastasya enatmeva atmana jita
बन्धुरात्मनस् बन्धु आत्मत्मनस्तस्य येनात्मैवात्मनः जितः
anatmanastu shatrutve vartetatmeva shatruvat.
अनात्मनस्तु शत्रुत्वे वर्तेतात्मैव शत्रुवत्.
Yeah. For him who has conquered the mind is the best of the friends. But for one who failed to do so, his mind will remain the greatest enemy. In the previous sloka, he told mind can be the best of the friends or worst of the enemies. In this shloka, he has explained when mind will be the friend and when mind will be the enemy. So mind will be friend when one has conquered the mind, and mind will be the enemy when one has failed to do so. Yeah, I can read the purport.
The purpose of practicing Eightfold Yoga is to control the mind in order to make it a friend in discharging the human mission. Unless the mind is controlled, the practice of yoga for show is simply a waste of time. One who cannot control his mind lives always with the greatest enemy, and thus his life and its mission are spoiled. The constitutional position of the living entity is to carry out the order of the superior. As long as one's mind remains as unconquered enemy, one has to serve the dictations of lust, anger, avarice, illusion, etc. But when the mind is conquered, one voluntarily agrees to abide by the dictation of the personality of Godhead, who is situated within heart of everyone as Paramatma. Real yoga practice entails meeting the Paramatma within the heart and then following his direct dictation. For one who takes to Krishna consciousness directly, perfect surrender to the dictation of the Lord follows automatically.
Yeah. Yeah, so as long as one's mind remains an unconquered enemy, one has to serve the dictates of lust, anger, avarice, illusion, etc. Yeah, of course, in the earlier shloka only, in the purport, it is clarified when the mind is attracted to the sense objects, it will be uncontrolled. And when it is uncontrolled, it will be the worst enemy. Enemy to the soul from the spiritual point of view means it will make the soul more and more degraded. And when the mind is freed from the attraction to sense objects, it becomes a best friend, which means it helps the atma in spiritual advancement. That way. So here Prabhupada is saying that unless the mind is controlled, the practice of yoga for show is simply a waste of time. Like people do yoga for 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 having good health and all. But the real yoga means connecting to the Supreme Lord. So for that, the senses have to be controlled. If that is not controlled, then just doing exercises, uh, that is sense gratification. That is not like they are doing some spiritual practice. Okay. So now in 3 verses, Krishna is explaining what are the symptoms of one who has conquered the mind. Jitatmanah prashantasya paramatma samahita
जितात्मनः प्रशान्तस्य परमात्मा समाहितः
शीतोष्ण सुखदुःखेषु तथा मानपमानयो.
शीतोष्णसुखदुःखेषु तथा मानापमानयोः.
The translation. For one who has conquered the mind, the super soul is already reached, for he has attained tranquility. To such a man, happiness and distress, heat and cold, honor and dishonor are all the same. Yeah, I can read the purport.
Actually, every living entity is intended to abide by the dictation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is seated in everyone's heart as Paramatma. When the mind is misled by the external illusory energy, one becomes entangled in material activities. Therefore, as soon as one's mind is controlled through one of the yoga systems, one should be considered to have already reached the destination. One has to abide by superior dictation. When one's mind is fixed on the superior nature, he has no alternative but to follow the dictation of the Supreme. The mind must admit some superior dictation and follow it. The effect of controlling the mind is that one automatically follows the dictation of the Paramatma or Supersoul. Because this transcendental position is at once achieved by one who is in Krishna consciousness, the devotee of the Lord is unaffected by the dualities of material existence, namely distress and happiness, cold and heat, etc. This state is practical samadhi or absorption in the Supreme.
Yeah. The mind must admit some superior dictation and follow it. Yeah, if we see in the third chapter, we have discussed like no, above the mind is the intelligence. So
Slowly, will you please speak louder? Can't hear properly.
is it with everyone or
Why? I'm able to hear, to know about others.
yeah. So the mind must admit some superior dictation and follow it. So some superior dictation means again it is not so it is some spiritual wisdom. So that it has to uh, it has to abide by superior dictation that is coming that is based on shastra and that is coming in the parampara. So that we have to uh, using our intelligence we have to accept it and engage our mind in that according to that. So then mind will get slowly purified. Then Paramatma Samahita, it doesn't mean like no Paramatma will talk to you or something, but you will feel connection at heart. Means, of course, in the case of Dhyana yogis, they will be able to see Paramatma, but in a devotees, you will feel connection with Krishna from the heart. Okay, so Krishna is further continuing the symptoms of one who has conquered mind. Jnana Vijnana Truptatma Kutasto Vichitendriya
ज्ञानविज्ञानतृप्तात्मा कूटस्थो विजितेन्द्रियः
Yukta iti uchyate yogi samaloshtrasma kanchana.
युक्त इति उच्यते योगी समलोष्त्रास्मकाञ्चन.
Excuse me. The person is said to be established in self-realization and is called a yogi or a mystic when he is fully satisfied by virtue of acquired knowledge and realization. Such a person is situated in transcendence and is self-controlled. He sees everything, whether it is pebble, stone, or gold, or this as the same. Yeah. Kutastaha means and Vijitendriya means his senses are controlled. Jnana Vijnana means he is realized, and Truptatma he is satisfied. So, and he has equal vision. Okay, you can read the purport.
Book knowledge without realization of the supreme truth is useless. This is stated as follows. अतः श्री कृष्ण नामादीन भावेद ग्राह्यमिन्द्रिये सेवोन्मुखे हि जीवादो स्वयं एव स्फुरत्यद्यः. Chaitanya Charitamrit Madhya Leela 17.136. No one can understand the transcendental nature of the name, form, qualities, and pastimes of Sri Krishna through his materially contaminated senses. Only when one becomes spiritually saturated by the transcendental service to the Lord are the transcendental name, form, qualities, and pastimes of the Lord revealed to him. Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu 1.2.234. This Bhagavad Gita is the science of Krishna consciousness. No one can become Krishna conscious simply by mundane scholarship. one must be fortunate enough to associate with a person who is in pure consciousness. A Krishna conscious person has realized knowledge by the grace of Krishna because he is satisfied with pure devotional service. By realized knowledge, one becomes perfect. By transcendental knowledge, one can remain steady in his convictions, but by mere academic knowledge, one can be easily deluded and confused by apparent contradictions. It is the realized soul who is actually self controlled because he is surrendered to Krishna. He is transcendental because he has nothing to do with mundane scholarship. For him, mundane scholarship and mental speculation, which may be as good as gold to others, are of no greater value than pebbles or stones.
Yeah, because he has realized knowledge based on the Shastra and in the transcendental knowledge. So he does not care for mundane scholarship and mental speculation. No one can become Krishna conscious simply by mundane scholarship. The mundane scholarship means speculation. No? God can be like this, God is like this is the way to attain God. So that is what Prabhupada is referring to. One must be fortunate enough to associate with a person who is in pure consciousness. So when a person is coming in parampara, when a pure devotee is coming in parampara, and one learns from a pure devotee, one will understand the Shastra properly, the proper conclusions of the Shastra, and one can practice. Yeah, like from Shastra, we see examples of. No, initially, if you see the phase of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, he was a scholar and all. He knows so much, and he was also quoting how no Krishna cannot appear in Kali Yuga because he is a Tri Yugi, and so many he was quoting and all. But when he got the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, then could become a devotee. So one must be fortunate enough to associate with a person who is in pure consciousness. And even if you see in CC the example of Devananda Pandit, he was also a very reputed scholar of Srimad Bhagavatam, and he was also a renunciate and all. But he doesn't know any bhakti, so because of that, he committed an offense. Indirectly, he committed an offense to Shiva's Thakur, and then Srimad Chaitanya Mahaprabhu became very upset with him. Then, but by the mercy of Vakreshwar Pandit, he served Vakreshwar Pandit and all. By his mercy, again he gained the mercy of Mahaprabhu, and then he could understand Bhagavatam from a devotional perspective, and he perfected his life that way. Okay, then further, Krishna is explaining the symptoms of one who has conquered the mind. Yeah. And he is equal, and he is equal also. He doesn't basically he sees material things as material. He does not discriminate between this has more material value than that. Like gold, pebbles, stone. Gold is very precious, but pebbles and stones are not so precious. But he sees everything as material. It's doesn't have anything to do with my spiritual life. That okay. Now some further more he's explaining the symptoms. Suhrun mitrari udasina madhyastha dveshya bandhushu
Surunmitrari udasina madhyastha dev dveshya bandhusu
sadhushvapi cha papeshu samabuddhir vishishyate.
sadhusvapi cha papeshu samabuddhirvishishyate.
Okay, the translation. A person is considered still further advanced when he regards honest well-wishers, affectionate benefactors, the neutral mediators, the envious, friends and enemies, the pious and the sinners, all with an equal value. Yeah, our acharyas are giving different definitions. Suhrut is one who by his very nature desires another person's benefit. Mitra is one who actually does beneficial acts for another person out of affection. Suhrut means Without any relationship also, he wants to do good things for everyone. Mitra means if based on a relationship, he wants to do beneficial acts for the other person. Ari is one who desires another's misfortune due to not having affection. Yeah, so that is enemy. Udasin is one who is neutral to two arguing parties. Madhyastha is one who attempts to stop the dispute. Dveshya is one who deserves to be hated because of his desire to injure another person. Bandhu is a person who desires one benefit because of a family relationship. The sadhu is one who follows dharma. The papa is one who does not follow dharma. So this is more difficult to be to have equanimity with people. Now, with all types of people is more difficult. Means he sees everyone from the perspective of Atma. That means this is a child of God. He does not see anyone based on the external, disposition, whether one is favorable, not favorable, like that. So this is more challenging than to see the stones. Means to see the substances like gold and pebbles. It is also difficult, but this is more difficult. Seeing friends and enemies on a spiritual plane. Okay. Now, now Krishna has explained who is qualified to do the yoga practice. So now he is telling how to do the yoga practice. Whose mind is controlled. So this symptoms of controlled mind, he has explained all three things. Yogi yunjata satatam atmanam rahasi stita
Yogi Yunj, sorry. Yogi Yunjita Satatam Atmanam Rahasi Stitaha
ekakiyata chittatma nirashvir aparigraha.
Ekagiyata Chittatma Nirashirapiri Aparigraha.
So the translation, a transcendentalist should always engage his body, mind, and self in relationship with the Supreme. He should live alone in a secluded place and should always carefully control his mind. He should be free from desires and feelings of possessiveness. Okay. Yeah, I can read the highlighted portion.
Nevertheless, all of these are instructed herewith to be constantly engaged in their particular pursuit so that they may come to the highest perfection sooner or later. The first business of the transcendentalist is to keep the mind always on Krishna. One should always think of Krishna and not forget him even for a moment. Concentration of the mind on the Supreme is called samadhi or trance. In order to concentrate the mind, one should always remain in seclusion and avoid disturbance by external objects. He should be very careful to accept favorable and reject unfavorable conditions that affect his realization. And in perfect determination, he should not hanker after unnecessary material things that entangle him by feelings of possessiveness.
Yeah. So, yogi yunjita satatam means no, there should be a constant endeavor. Whatever practice he's doing, he should do it consistently. He should do it constantly, uninterruptedly. Should do it uninterruptedly. And ekaki yata chittatma. And he should focus it on Krishna. So that is, one should always think of Krishna and that too uninterruptedly. And he should be in rahasi sthita. Rahasi sthita means it's not like he locks himself in a room and all. The meaning is one stays in a place where there are no material distractions. And nirashita parigraha, he does not unnecessarily possess things which may give a sense of possessiveness. So possessiveness in, of course, yeah. Now, Of course, here in this purport, Prabhupada is contrasting the type of possessiveness in Bhakti Yoga and Dhyana Yoga. In possessiveness in Dhyana Yoga is one has to consciously renounce the things and situate oneself in a secluded place. So that way one will not feel material possessiveness. This is my home, or no, this is my family, my children, my wealth, my bank balance, all this. But Bhakti Yoga is everything belongs to God. So the practice of Yukta Vairagya means this everything is given by the Lord. This no bank balance is given by the Lord. The employer, everything, the company, all are a medium, but it is ultimately given by Krishna. So this is meant for Krishna's service. So this home actually also belongs to Krishna, but so it should be used in Krishna's service. It should be used for practicing Krishna conscious activities like that. Okay. Yeah, I can read the explanation of Srila Rupa
Srila
Goswami.
Rupa Goswami characterizes Krishna consciousness in this way. Anasaktasya vishayan yatharam उपयुञ्जतः निर्बन्ध कृष्ण संबंधे युक्तं वैराग्यमुच्यते प्रापञ्चिकतया बुद्धया हरिसम्बन्धि वस्तुनः मुमुक्षुभिः परित्यागो वैराग्यं फाल्गु उत्कथ्यते. When one is not attached to anything, but at the same time accepts everything in relation to Krishna, one is rightly situated above possessiveness. On the other hand, one who rejects everything without knowledge of its relationship to Krishna is not as complete in his renunciation. Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu 1.2.225, 255 and 56. A Krishna conscious person well knows that everything belongs to Krishna and thus he is always free from the feelings of personal possession. As such, he has no hankering for anything on his own personal account. He knows how to accept things in favor of Krishna consciousness and how to reject the things unfavorable to the Krishna consciousness. He is always aloof from material things because he is always transcendental and he is always alone, having nothing to do with persons not in Krishna consciousness. Therefore, a person in Krishna consciousness is the perfect yogi.
So now two more verses describe the different other aspects of Ashtanga Yoga. So first is he is telling about the consciousness actually. Now about the place he's telling in two verses. Sucho deshe pratistapya stiramasanamatmana
शुचौ देशे प्रतिष्ठाप्य स्थिरम् आसनमात्मनः
nati uccaritam nati nicham shailajina pushottaram
नाति उच्चरितं नाति नीचं चैलाजिनकुशोत्तरम्
तत्रैकाग्रं मनः कृत्वा यथा चित्तेन्द्रियक्रिया
तत्रैक तत्रैकाग्रं मनः कृत्वा यतः चित्तेन्द्रियः क्रियः
उपविश्यासने युञ्ज्याद् योगम् आत्मविशुद्धये.
उपविश्यासने युञ्जाद् योगमात्मविशुद्धये.
The translation: to practice yoga, one should go to a secluded place and should lay pusha grass on the ground and then cover it with a deer skin and a soft cloth. The seat should be neither too high nor too low and should be situated in a sacred place. The yogi should then sit on it very firmly and practice yoga to purify the heart by controlling his mind, senses, and activities and fixing the mind on one point. Yeah, you can read this highlighted section.
Sacred place refers to the places of pilgrimage. In India, the yogi is the transcendentalists or the devotees. All leave home and reside in sacred places such as Prayag, Mathura, Vrindavan, Rishikesh, Haridwar, and in solitude practice the yoga where the sacred rivers like the Yamuna and Ganges flow. But often this is not possible, especially for the Westerners. And the so-called yoga society in the big cities may be successful in earning material benefit, but they are not at all suitable for the actual practice of yoga. One who is not self-controlled and whose mind is not undisturbed cannot practice meditation.
Whose mind is not undisturbed cannot practice meditation. Then Prabhupada is talking about the chanting of the holy name. Okay. Next verse. Next is about posture. Samam kayam shiro grivam dharayan achalam stira
समं काय शिरो ग्रीवं धारयन्नचलं स्त्रिया
samprekshya nasikagram swam dishas
सम्प्रेक्ष्य नासिकाग्रं स्वं दिशश्चानवलोकयन्
प्रशान्तात्मा विगतभिर्ब्रह्मचारी व्रते स्थिता
प्रशन्तात्मा विगतभिर्ब्रह्मचारी व्रते स्थितः
मनः संयम्य मच्चित्तो युक्त आसीत मत्पर.
मनः संयम्य मच्चित्तो युक्त आसीत मत्परः.
Okay, the translation. One should hold one's body, neck, and head erect in a straight line and stare steadily at the tip of the nose. Thus, with an unagitated, subdued mind, devoid of fear, completely free from sex life, one should meditate upon me within the heart and make me the ultimate goal of life. Yeah, you can read the purport.
The goal of life is to know Krishna, who is situated within the heart of every living being as Paramatma, the four-handed Vishnu form. The yoga process is practiced in order to discover and see this localized form of Vishnu and not for any other purpose. The localized Vishnu Murti is the plenary representation of Krishna dwelling within one's heart. One who has no program to realize this Vishnu Murti is uselessly engaged in mock yoga practice and is certainly wasting his time. Krishna is the ultimate goal of life, and the Vishnu Murti situated in the heart is the object of yoga practice. To realize this Vishnu Murti within the heart, one has to observe complete abstinence from sex life. Therefore, one has to leave the home and live alone in a secluded place, remaining seated as mentioned above. One cannot enjoy sex life daily at home or elsewhere and attend a so-called yoga class and thus become a yogi. One has to practice controlling the mind and avoiding all kinds of sense gratification, of which the sex life is chief. In the rules of the celibacy written by the great sage Yajnavalkya, it is said, कर्मणा कर्मणा मनसा वाचा सर्वावस्थसु सर्वदा सर्वत्र मैथुन त्यागो ब्रह्मचार्यं प्रचक्षते. The vow of brahmacharya is meant to help one completely abstain from sex indulgence in work, words, and mind at all times, under all circumstances, and in all places. No one can perform correct yoga practice through sex indulgence. Brahmacharya is taught, therefore, from childhood when one has no knowledge of sex life. Children at the age of 5 are sent to Gurukula or the place of the place of spiritual master, and the master trains the young boys in strict discipline of becoming brahmacharis. Without such practice, no one can make advancement in any yoga, whether it be dhyan, gyan, or bhakti. One who, however, follows the rules and regulations of the married life, having a sexual relationship only with his wife, and that also under regulation, is also called a brahmachari. Such a restrained householder, brahmachari, may be accepted in the bhakti school. But the Jnana and Dhyan school do not even admit householder brahmacharis. They require complete abstinence without compromise. In the Bhakti school, a householder brahmachari is allowed controlled sex life because the cult of Bhakti Yoga is so powerful that one automatically loses the sexual attraction being engaged in the superior service of the Lord. In the
Yeah.
Bhagavad
So
Gita,
just a minute. So this is a difference between Jnana Yoga, Dhyana Yoga, and Bhakti Yoga. It is the superiority of Bhakti Yoga. So there is one OBA question on this. Means it has three parts. One of the parts is this. So this is one answer. So like that, Prabhupada tells in different places, contrasting Jnana Yoga, and Bhakti Yoga. Yeah, I can continue in the Bhagavad Gita.
the Bhagavad Gita, second chapter, 59th verse, it is said, Vishaya vinivartante niraharasya dehina rasavarjam rasopasya param drishtva nivartate. whereas others are forced to restrain themselves from sense gratification. A devotee of the Lord automatically refrains because of superior taste. Other than the devotees, no one has any information of that superior taste.
Yeah.
Vigata bhi, one cannot be fearless unless one is fully in Krishna consciousness. A conditioned soul is fearful due to his perverted memory, his forgetfulness of his eternal relationship with Krishna. The Bhagavatam 11.2.37 says, Bhayam dvitiya bhini veshatah syad isad apetasya viparayayo smritihi. Krishna consciousness is the only basis for fearlessness. Therefore, perfect practice is possible for a person who is Krishna conscious. And since the ultimate goal of yoga practice is to see the Lord within, a Krishna conscious person is already the best of all yogis. The principles of the yoga system mentioned herein are different from those of the popular so called yoga societies.
Yeah. So these are the original principles. Like before uh, doing asana, there are two stages, that is yam and niyam. So yam and niyam, these are the things. So these are not done, then doing asana, it will not give any spiritual benefit. It may at most give some physical benefit. Okay, so now we will, let me see how many are there. Who are let's see. Okay, we will have group activity to know about how to improve chanting. So first group uh, leader will be Sharad Prabhu, so he can discuss these things. What are several external and physical distractions during chanting, and how to avoid or manage these distractions, also including sleep, because it is a physical distraction, feeling sleepy or that. And what are the wrong practices with respect to time and ambience with respect to chanting. So which time is good, and which time one should not chant, or it is not, one cannot chant properly. Ambience, where one should chant. What are the wrong things generally that happen, and what are the best practices and some practical tips with respect to the same. Time and ambience. Then last three shlokas. Three shlokas means the big shlokas are counted as one. So maybe number I will write is better. Says 14, 13, 14, 11, 12. Okay, 10 to 14. 10 to 14, there are 5 shlokas. Above shlokas. So, in this 10 to 14 shlokas, which words in the shlokas are no explaining these aspects. Aspects means about ambience and time and physical distractions. So that okay. Then group 2, Shrikant Pro will be leader. So what are possible internal and or mental distractions during chanting? How to avoid or manage these distractions? And what are wrong practices with respect to pronunciation and posture? And what are best practices or practical tips with respect to same? And again mention the words from 10 to 14 shlokas. Then third, okay, what are wrong types of consciousness and purpose with respect to chanting? Purpose, or you can say attitude, whatever. And what is the right consciousness and purpose while chant? And how to prepare our consciousness for chanting. And some practical tips like how we can chant more rounds. And again, you can mention the shloka, some words from the shloka which are referring to these aspects. Now, chanting with means proper consciousness. What are the words? Okay, so yeah, for group 3, group leader will be Sundari Subhadra Mataji. So group leaders can ensure that in the 15 minutes you discuss all these points and you note down and you can present. Okay, so okay, we will have 15 minutes for each group.
Prabhuji, please scroll the group 3 questions. I can't see.
Yeah, I will send on the WhatsApp. Yeah, if any technical issues are there, please no contact Shrikant Pro so that it will be resolved. Okay, so Pro groups are ready.
Yes, Prabhuji, groups are ready.
Yeah, so I can broadcast them.
Okay, bro, I'll start all the groups. Amrita Mataji, you can join the group 3, room 3. Ravi Roshan Prabhu, you can join group 1. Hemvarna Lalita Mataji, you can join room 3. Ravi Roshan Prabhu, you can join
Okay, I hope everyone has come. So, okay, so for the first group, can present Sharad Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhuji. I will. So whatever we have discussed as a group, I will just mention the points. So for the first question, what are several external physical distractions during chanting? So first one is very prominent, that is mobile. So uh, mobile or TV. So whatever if any notification comes, we just chant while reading the notification or reading WhatsApp messages. So that's the first distraction. Then even if mobile is not there, then chanting with open eyes, just roaming around in house or even in temple, roaming around and seeing who is chanting how and things like that. Third distraction is if someone may feel sleepy or body is paining, some part of body is paining, so that is third. And fourth would be the distraction of mind, that when we sit for chanting, then mind
Mind will come in second group. Okay. Yes.
okay, but the pending task basically, so mind keeps on telling that this is pending, that is pending,
Okay, okay,
and
okay.
we actually start doing that. So for I have to do
Doing
something,
something else.
doing something
Parallel.
while chanting. Yes. Then second question is solution, how to avoid this distraction. So for the mobile, everyone has agreed that we should just keep it in other room or somewhere else while chanting. So out of sight, out of mind, mobile or any other distraction. And for roaming around, so we should try to chant our rounds mostly while sitting and with closed eyes, as many rounds as possible. So this could be a good solution. For sleep is previous nights we should sleep early, knowing well that we have to chant or we have to get up early. So get up early is the first solution, and to get up early we have to sleep early previous night. So that can be done. And for pending tasks, if we get up early and chant early morning, then distractions are less of this pending task and all. So these things basically happen when we have less time, we have get up late, and things have to just rush. So if we get up early, then these things will be avoided. For the third question, wrong practices with respect to time and ambience. So mostly chanting late night with respect to time. If we get up late, then chanting remains and chanting goes on till late night. With respect to ambience, so it could be like chanting in bedroom or somewhere, so where goodness is not there. And yeah, these are the points for third question. And best practices and practical tips with respect to this is, so for late night chanting, obviously again getting up early in the morning. And for ambience, if possible, we should try to chant in temple. If not, then we should have a separate area, like in front of our puja room or in front of Tulsi Maharani. Otherwise, we can join online chanting. So devotees have different groups where they come online and chant. So and video is on, so that we cannot do any other thing while chanting. While sitting, as everyone is watching, so we chant nicely in those meetings. And lastly, we should wear fresh clothes to provoke the goodness. So that helps in chanting. For the last question, some words from 10 to 14 shlokas. So we have noted some of them. Like for 10 is Rahasi, which means a secluded place. Then Yat Chitta Atma, always careful in mind. So while chanting.
Okay. Yeah.
And Nirashi, without being attracted to anything else.
Okay, fine. Okay.
And for 11th, again, it's Suchodeshe, which is sanctified land, means the
Yeah,
place should be proper. Yes.
Okay, okay, yes, yes. Thank you very much. Very nice points. Okay. Okay, now for group two, Shrikant bro.
Yes, Prabhu. Hare Krishna Danu Pranam. So I'll be presenting on behalf of the second group, Mataji's. So first question was that internal and mental distractions during chanting. Uh, so first is that if we had any argument or fight or anything with anyone, those dialogues keep coming in our mind while chanting. Those thoughts keep coming. Second is, as Prabhuji already mentioned, is that the mind keeps planning for the day. So I can do this, or for the day, or for the future, or some becoming a great preacher or book distributor. All those plans start coming while chatting. Third is that distraction is about trying to complete. I mean, looking at the watch, I have to finish by this much time and doing it very fast or hastily with no attention. So that is another distraction. Yeah. So second question is how to manage these distractions. So obviously for the arguments and all those things, I think if we do the chanting early part of the day, try to complete it early in the morning itself, rather than when the whole day passes and in the evening, if we are chanting, we recollect all the things that happened during the day.
Okay, okay.
So that's one thing. For planning the day, for that thoughts, I think one thing is best is if we could plan for the next day the night before, what I'm going to do, what I'm not going to do. If we have already planned the things, then these thoughts don't come. And also realizing that till now, whatever I have planned during chanting has never worked, never executed. It only remains in the plans. That is one thing. Other thing was that before chanting, if we can hear a short class or japa talk or Prabhupada, or while even the Prabhupada is chanting that machine, if we can hear well that, then the mind will be peaceful, uh, not distracted. And other is like if we can remain in secluded places, or if we are doing online japa, if we keep the video on while during the japa, then these distractions won't. Third is again wrong practices with respect to pronunciation and posture. Mostly for pronunciation, the pronunciation becomes wrong when we are trying to complete the rounds very fast. We have less time, and or we are not inattentive. We are just sleeping or dozing off always. That time the pronunciation goes wrong. For the posture, I think yeah, not sitting in proper way. No one is watching us. We are doing sofa set chanting or bed chanting that way. Then that becomes wrong posture. For that, the best practices or tips for that is so yeah, we should not do fast chanting. Should attentive chanting, chant loudly so that we can hear our own voice clearly. Uh, One practical tip we mentioned was about maybe focusing on one word for one round, like Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Loudly we chant one word, and then we in next round we loudly chant another word. That way we focus on the pronunciations. For posture, we should sit on the ground normally, with bended legs, or in association of devotees, or keep the video on if you are doing it online for the postures. The last one is words from Shloka 10 to 14. There are many words, especially related to the posture. Uh, 11th and 12th was there is asanam, which is seat, chailajina, soft cloth, uh, upavishya asane, sitting on the seat while doing it. 13 and 14 was as achalam, that is unmoving, samam, straight, Anavalokayan, not looking, like not with open eyes, getting distracted. These are all about the postures, about the controlling the mind and internal distractions. Aparigraha, that is not having possessiveness, so that we don't get distracted. Yata chittatma, careful in mind. Rahasi, that sit in secluded place, like not place of distraction. Eka Agram, one attention, Yata Chitta control mind. And in 13 and 14 shloka, they were like Prashanta, unagitated. We are not having any fight or anything, those things. Chitta, concentrating mind. Vigata, no fear. And Manas Sannyasa, like subdue your mind while chanting. Don't hear it. Yes.
Yeah, very, very nice. Nice, nice. Okay. Group three, Sundari Subhadra Mata.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. So, the first question is, what are the wrong types of consciousnesses and purpose with respect to chanting? So, the wrong kind of consciousness is that one might chant with some personal motives, or having some personal material desires, or needing to gain some higher position. So that might be the reasons for that are leading to the wrong consciousness. And the purposes may vary. Some might be just wanted to be fitting into the devotee club, and uh, some might be just doing it for the sake of taking initiation. And even the wrong consciousness also is because of making the chanting more mechanical and time dependent. So we are just finishing for the sake of doing it, and we are not putting any feelings into it. So that is also our wrong consciousness.
Yes, yes, yes. Thank you.
Then moving to second question. So what is the right consciousness and the purpose of chanting?
Mm,
So the right consciousness is that we are doing it to serve or to please Guru and Goranga.
mm,
We are doing our mood while chanting should be prayerful, and we should be in a surrender attitude, and we should also be in the service attitude. We should offer our chanting as a service to Lord.
okay.
And the biggest right consciousness is that we are doing this chanting to control our mind and for our own purification. So
Mm,
this is the right consciousness, that this is for controlling my own mind.
mm,
And the purposes are like, again, if we are doing it in a right consciousness, so it is not for our personal gains, but to get service of Guru and Goranga, again to please them.
mm,
So that is the correct purpose. And again, in purpose, it is for our own purification.
yeah,
And third purpose is that the pure conscious the chanting done in the right consciousness empowers us to acquire the knowledge from the shastras in the correct attitude.
mm,
So that is also one of the purpose of chanting,
mm,
right consciousness
mm,
chanting.
mm, mm,
Then moving on to the third question, how to prepare our consciousness for chanting. So the
mm,
foremost thing by which we can prepare the grounds for chanting is service.
mm,
Service, service, and more service. And then the second thing is hearing about the acharyas who have given or devoted their entire life just chanting the holy names. So
mm,
when we hear about them, we get inspired to do at least a little bit from our end. So that is hearing. Then second point in that is that we should always be having enthusiastic approach. We should always be enthusiastic to do our sadhana with love rather than doing it as a mundane duty or a mechanical chanting.
mm,
So that sorry Prabhuji, I lost. Yes. So that will also help us to prepare our consciousness for better chanting. And then there is another thing is that we should always chant with senior devotees. The more we
mm,
can do that, that will also improve our consciousness for chanting more. And another point is that we should always seek the blessings from our acharyas. Always before chanting, we should always seek blessings from our acharyas. That automatically connects us to the parampara and empowers us to chant in a more purified manner. Then moving to the fourth question, what are the practical tips to chant more rounds? So Prabhuji already told this. So chanting as much as loudly and to focus on the hearing of the mantra with pure efforts,
mm,
it will lead us to chant more rounds.
okay.
And then second is again association with the pure devotees, association with the senior devotees. It will encourage us to do chanting in a more purified and more number of rounds. It will encourage us to do more number of rounds. And then the more practical thing that we often do or feel lazy to do is we should fill our sadhana card regularly. because filling our own sadhana card is the reflection of our deeds which we can see. So it again encourages us, and also sharing it in our chant, which we have our close share chanting groups. So if we share our chanting or sadhana on the chanting groups, then we get to know that, oh, some devotees are chanting even more than me. So it also inspires, not in a competitive way, but we should get that inspiration to chant more and more. And the last point in this is that we should take a sankalpa to chant more rounds on auspicious days like Ekadashis or any special days like Janmashtami, Radhashtami also. So that we can get more mercy from the devotees and from the acharyas and directly from the Lord, because that day itself has that capacity to empower us.
Yes,
And
yes.
then the last point is some words from the shlokas. So we have got three words from these shlokas. The one is Atma Vishuddhya, so which says that purification of one's consciousness happens. So ultimately we are talking about chanting. So this word fits very well.
Yes, yes,
It
yes.
helps us to purify our consciousness, and it comes from shloka number 6.12. Then second word is machittaha, shloka number 6.13. So
Yes.
ultimately, as we have seen in question number 2, that the purpose of chanting is that we should engage our mind on the forms of Lord. So machittaha, and then this will remind us of our goal. We will not get distracted and we will not get mechanical if we continuously focus on God, Lord's forms. Then from 6.14, one word is there, matparaha. Matparaha is again reminds us of the ultimate goal. So
Yes,
if we always focus on the ultimate goal, it will definitely enhance our chanting.
yes, 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 yes. Thank you, thank you. Very nice points. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna.
Even even Bhaktivinoda Thakur also suggests in Harinam Chintamani that to get taste for chanting, we should chant with senior devotees. That is important point. And also keeping the deities photos also will help in trying to develop consciousness, even attention also. And, okay, maybe you can take now 2 minutes to note down individually what all we can do for improving our own chanting. Then we'll continue. We'll do this. 2 minutes, then we'll continue. Okay, so we'll just discuss this last verse and we'll close for the day. Okay, Shrikant Prabhu can recite after me. Yunjan evam sadatmanam yogi niyatamanasa
युञ्जन् एवं सदात्मानं योगी नियतमानसा
Shantim nirvana paramam mat samstam adhigacchati.
शान्तिं निर्वाणपरमां मत्संस्थाम् अधिगच्छति.
Okay, just one point. See, if you see these verses, no, there are words like no matchitta, matparaha. So that shows actually the bhakti element present in the dhyana yoga process. Means that is one of the elements, but that is not the whole element. In bhakti yoga, that is the whole element. In dhyana yoga, this is one of the elements. One of the yama and niyama. One of the niyamas is Ishwar Pranidam. So that is there. Okay, we will go for the translation. Thus, practicing constant control of the body, mind, and activities. Yeah. So, constant control through meditation, pranayama, and all. Uh, Constant control of the body, mind, and activities. The mystic transcendentalist, his mind regulated, attains to the kingdom of God or the abode of Krishna by cessation of material existence. So after being in the right place and having the right posture, then one should offer the mind constantly to Krishna. Sadatmanam yunjan, with mind regulated, niyata manasa. Shantim, then cessation of samsara. Shantim here refers to liberation. No? Cessation of samsara, nirvana paramam. Liberation plus mystics in this smat samstam, one will attain spiritual sky. So 8 siddhis are anima, lagima, mahima, prakamya, prapti, and kama vasayita. So these are all the 8 siddhis also get
Voice is breaking, Prabhuji.
performing dhyana.
Hare
Atman,
Krishna.
Atmanam Yunjan means engaging body, mind. Yes, is my voice cutting?
Voice is breaking, Prabhuji.
Okay. ठीक है. These are the main. Now is it clear or no also?
Now it is better.
Yes, yes, Prabhuji. Better.
Okay. So
Again, it is.
after being in the okay, okay. Maybe you can read the purport.
The ultimate goal in practicing
You can
yoga
only
is now.
read these things.
Sorry, Prabhu. What should I read?
You can read from the beginning, from the top, after being in the.
After being in the right place and having the right posture, then one should offer the mind constantly to Krishna. Sadatmanam yunjan, with mind regulated. Niyata manasaha. Shantim, the cessation of samsara. Nirvanam, paramam, liberation. And mystic siddhis, mat samstam, spiritual sky. 8 siddhis, anima, that is small, lagima, light, mahima, big, prakamya, very powerful, prapti, getting anything, ishitva, create and destroy, vashitva, control material elements, and kama vashayita, assume shape or form. Atmanam yunjan, engaging body, mind, and words in service of Lord, need to improve and learn. Purport. The ultimate goal in practicing yoga is now clearly explained. Yoga practice is not meant for attaining any kind of material facility. It is to enable the cessation of all material existence. One who seeks an improvement in health or aspires after material perfection is no yogi according to Bhagavad Gita, nor does cessation of material existence entail one's entering into the void, which is only a myth. There is no void anywhere within the creation of the Lord. Rather, the cessation of material existence enable one to enter into the spiritual sky, the abode of the Lord. The abode of the Lord is also clearly described in Bhagavad Gita as that place where there is no need of sun, moon, or electricity. All the planets in the spiritual kingdom are self illuminated like the sun in the material sky. The kingdom of God is everywhere, but the spiritual sky and the planets thereof are called Param Dham, or superior abodes. A consummate, completely committed yogi who is perfect in understanding Lord Krishna, as is clearly stated herein by the Lord Himself, Matchita Matparaha Matstanam, can attain real peace and can ultimately reach his supreme abode, Krishna Lok, known as Golok Vrindavan. In the Brahma Samhita 5.37, it is clearly stated, Golok eva nivasatya khilatma bhuto. The Lord, although residing always in his abode called Goloka, is all pervading Brahman and the localized Paramatma, as well as by dint of his superior spiritual energies. No one can reach the spiritual sky, Vaikuntha, or enter into the Lord's eternal abode, Golok Vrindavan, without the proper understanding of Krishna and his plenary expansion, Vishnu. Therefore, a person working in Krishna consciousness is the perfect yogi because his mind is always absorbed in Krishna's activities. Savai Manah Krishna Padaravindayo. Srimad Bhagavatam 9.4.18. In the Vedas also, Shveta Sattara Upanishad 3.8, we learn Tam Eva Vidivati Mrityum Iti. One can overcome the path of birth and death only by understanding the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna. In other words, perfection of the yoga system is the attainment of freedom from material existence and not some magical jugglery or gymnastic feats to be full innocent people.
Yeah. So the purpose of Dhyana Yoga is to uh, purify oneself from the samsara, attain liberation, and attain the abode of the Lord. Okay, so okay. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srila Bhagavad Gita ki jai. Vanchakalpatarubhyasya Kripasindhu Patitan Vishnu Vidya. Thank you.
Thank you,
Hare Krishna,
Prabhuji.
Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Hare
Jai.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.